Hello, this is Lady C, and my sidekick over here is JT.
How y'all doing today?
All right. Now, we want to welcome you all to another episode of The Critical Thought. And we have a very interesting couple here that's ready to tell their story about how they exited the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society.
You're listening to The Critical Thought, where we challenge our listeners to use critical thinking when examining the teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses.
So, we're going to be speaking with a couple that has exited the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, Terrence and Rashana, and they're here to tell their story. So welcome, you guys, for being here with us. We really appreciate taking the time to be here on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes.
Thank you as well.
Yeah. Okay, so let us know, how did you all become Jehovah's Witnesses?
Well, I guess I'll go first. I was raised in. Matter of fact, on both sides, my mom's side, her mom and her stepdad are witnesses, and my dad, both my grandma and grandpa were witnesses too.
Mm-hmm. And I joined when I was about 19 years old.
Okay.
What interested me was I was into horror movies. I just really liked it, and so one of my friends had a Revelation book, and I'm like, oh, let me take a look at this. And when I saw the dragons and the angelic armies, I remember thinking, wow, who prints books like this,
Is this fiction or fact?
Right. So I remember going to the Kingdom Hall where Rashana was in, and I forgot what the service was about, but afterwards I was like, hey, do you guys have a Revelation? But I'd like to have one of my own. And that's how, from there,
wow.
Bible study and then, yep.
You're kidding. Wow.
No joke.
That's amazing.
That's interesting.
That is amazing.
The Revelation book. Oh, my goodness.
Good night.
I mean, the other side of that was my parents were Baptists.
Okay.
And my older brother was like, you got to get baptized or you're going to hell. So I never got baptized. So after I got the Revelation book, I remember that's what I was talking to her dad, who was an elder, about. I was like, I need to get baptized. And then he goes, oh, did you read this book? And it was the required brochure.
Okay.
And I lied. I'm like, yeah, I read that. And then he held out the knowledge book, and he goes, did you read this before? And I'm like, yes, I did. So now can I get baptized now? And so he was just like, okay, we'll just review it, and then we'll go from there.
Oh,
really?
Oh.
So you were looking at with what I'm hearing you say is, you got in contact with the witnesses because of one of their publications, and then one thing led to the other, and then because of what your brother had said about getting baptized, you're not realizing that the Jehovah's Witness faith was much more than just getting baptized.
Yes, that's it. Yes.
Okay. Wow, interesting. So, how long did it take you before you got baptized?
I'll say maybe about a year. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I was still 19 when I got baptized, like May. So about 6 months, 6 months to a year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who studied with you?
My dad.
Okay.
He take that day back.
He was bringing a man in for his daughter. That's what they used to say. I remember they used to say that. Oh man, when I was growing up, they used to say it all the time. If a sister met somebody in field service, a man, and then they would bring him in for their daughter, or if there was a woman, or he brought her in for their son or something. I mean, you gotta love it.
Wow. Okay. So basically, then that's basically how y'all hooked up, right? Would you say that?
Exactly. Yep. That's how we met. My dad would study with him, and sometimes he would study with him at our house.
Uh-oh.
That's how I really got to know him.
Did he invite him to eat while he was there since the study was over with?
What was that?
Did he invite him to eat since the study is over? You want to have dinner with us this evening, son?
I mean, He would be at our house a lot because, of course, you know, as witnesses, when they study, they try to include them in on everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he was there a lot. And even before my dad studied with him, I just have to tell you, when Terrence first came to the Kingdom Hall, I will never forget the first time. He had on his jeans, he had earrings in his ear, and I was just in shock. I'm like, he is the hottest thing I've ever seen.
And I wasn't paying attention to all that.
And I guess that's probably not a good thing because I was a witness, but I was like, wow.
Okay.
Michael Edith's first cousin. Okay, I understand.
Oh, that is funny. That is funny. So, now, so how did y'all end up in Iowa?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I grew up here. My dad and mom lived here, of course. My dad was from Chicago. My mom was from Mississippi, but their families. Well, my mom was in Minnesota. Let me make that clear. And my dad, him and his family, they moved here from Chicago. So that's how I got here.
Okay.
Yeah, I was raised here till I was 10 years old, and my parents moved down to Atlanta, Georgia. And then I came back on my own around 18 to go into college. And but I went to that Kingdom Hall and I did not go till years later.
Wow. So you detoured. Oh, isn't that something? You moved to Iowa, moved back to go to college, got in touch with some Jehovah's Witnesses and lost your way.
Yes.
Oh, man.
That's the way.
That's amazing.
Oh.
So which one of you woke up first?
It was me. There was some questions that I put in the back of my mind. One was the drama, respect Jehovah's authority, where we have Samuel Hurd on there, and I was like, oh wow, a governing body, Brother Hurd, but at the end of the drama, I remember thinking, are the governing bodies saying that they're like Moses and Aaron now? Like, is that how we're supposed to view them?
Yeah.
So I had that back in my mind, and then there was also I had like when we moved back to Georgia, because my wife and I we moved back to Georgia, and I remember I had 2 talks back to back. I volunteered for one, and it was about Abraham, and then the second one was my own talk, and I think it was about the number 3. Sorry, it was the number 3 talks. And my second talk, somehow it went to Jesus. And when I was looking him up in the index, it brought out that he wasn't our mediator.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I remember, and so like those were like when the questions really started happening, because I called my elder back here, and I'm like, hey, is this true? Is Jesus, not our mediator? And he's like, yes, he is. I'm like, no, he's not. So like he pulled out his index on his computer. So we were just like talking back and forth until he goes, oh, I understand it now. The society is clear. He's not our mediator. And then I'm like, oh, okay. I just shut up about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know better than, as they say, you know better than to go beyond those questions.
Yes, yeah. I got the sense it was time to be quiet. Then the ultimate break came later, but that was like the start of my like really starting to doubt what the society was teaching.
Well, how did you feel, man, as you started probing and researching things? I mean, were you serving in the congregation in any capacity when you started reaching this point?
At this time we were pioneers.
Oh wow!
So
examples.
And we were, yeah. And another big thing was in the congregation we were in Georgia, it was a total of 4 pioneers, and now that hall was a big one. It had like 134 publishers. So out of 134 publishers, it was 2 pioneers, both in their 80s. It was the Kobe before they redid the I guess the retirement age on the Kobe, but but it was the Kobe and his wife, and then we joined the ranks. So studying was like we have to be an example, and So yes, all that studying was actually drawing me away from the organization and towards it.
Yeah, especially if you start studying stuff that they don't want you to study. That's the whole thing. There's certain things they don't want you to start putting the pieces together because after a while you start getting a whole different picture of the organization.
Mm-hmm. So you said there was an ultimate. So the ultimate break in your foundation was the crack in your foundation was what?
No, for that one, after they released the Silver Sword, where we were all talking about, at least at that time, like, wow, look how these men are. See how humble and wow, like how awesome. So I figured maybe someone had more on the governing body, like some more talks that they probably recorded. So I remember Googling governing body, and this website, I haven't been in a long time though, but at that time, this website called Governing Body Letters came up.
Oh no!
And then,
right.
It mentioned.
Go ahead.
And it mentioned that the Menlo Park congregation in California, how that they end up replacing those elders because they did not want to do a loan to redo the Kingdom Hall, and put in new elders who did vote for it, and those elders got it was like a paralegal to defend against that action. So the society was like, they're going to redo some of their arrangements for contributions. Mm-hmm. And I just remember reading that, like, this is incredible, but this probably can't be true. And I remember telling my wife about this part, but it ended up later when they actually announced from the stage that they'll be taking away the local contribution box, and that there will be a new arrangement where we have to start writing our names down, and well, not our names, but what we're going to contribute.
Oh yeah. We're going to obligate you guys.
This is true.
Wow. So basically, now let's just travel back a second about what you said about the silver sword. Can you, for people who are not Jehovah's Witnesses and may not know what that is, can you kind of identify what you're saying?
Yes. It's our new Bible from the black one. What happened is they had an annual meeting where everybody was invited because something special was supposed to happen. And that special was when they released our new Bible in a silver packaging. Okay,
so it's the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures, but it's a silver Bible.
Yes, the silver cover.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so now, so you started to question because Jesus is not the mediator they're teaching. And you found the governing body letters about the Menlo Park congregation. Anything else strike a chord?
Yes, from that, I just had to look more because I'm like, maybe there's more to all of this. Mm-hmm. And that led me to JW Facts.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And in JW Facts, it brought up that we were part of the United Nations.
Okay.
And I remember thinking, whoa, wait, like, when was this? So, like, I remember asking my wife, Rashana, and going, hey, it was like more of a matter of fact because it was so shocking. Like, it was like so much information, I couldn't take it. So I remember asking her, and, like, she got quiet. And then, then she started to cry because she's like, I did not know about that. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like, so it's like, what else are they not telling us?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting that you said that you looked this information up and then you shared it with Rashana, your wife, and she started to cry. So, was that the first time that you had mentioned something to her about what you were learning on the internet?
Yeah, because the governing body letters was more like, I felt with that was more like the inside. Like, I know what they're going to do before most witnesses know what's going to happen.
Isn't it amazing?
But, yeah, right. So it's like, like, I can't believe they're posting this stuff online. But then with that UN, that was the first time I did mention something that was like, there's a problem here that that they're not telling us. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Rashana, what's going on in your mind at this point? What's happening with you?
I thought he lost his mind.
He was going crazy.
I literally, the best word to describe it is I was freaking out.
Oh, I know you were.
Like, what are you saying? Like, what are you, just to like, it was that moment of doubt. And I was scared. I was really scared. But after that, he didn't say anything more to me. So I kind of thought he just maybe forgot about it.
Okay. Okay, so he kind of got quiet.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Yeah, I did.
He did. Yep. And then it was like a month later, he would ask me another question. And then he wouldn't give me the answer. He would just walk away. And that's when I started looking it up on my own.
Interesting. Because you know what? I think that approach is really good because JT and I talk to so many people, and we get a lot of emails and correspondence from people asking us how to get their family members out and how to, wake people up about the information that they have discovered. And I think that it's overwhelming to a lot of people, and they get to the point where they just shut down on the person that's trying to talk to them. So by him just saying that to you, I like the way he showed you the letter that came from them, from the organization. Because it was like an inside thing.
I'm so thankful for the way he did it because, he never pushed me. He never, made me feel like, I can't believe you don't know this. Or, he never, just, put all these things at me, just ran down the list of all the things he learned. He literally just said it, and I would look it up because I love research. I love to look up things. And so when he would say something, I'm like, what is he talking about? Like when he talked about the Australia Royal Commission, I didn't know what that was. And he's like, that's real interesting. And then he just walked away.
Okay. Right.
What was that?
Wow.
So then I Googled it, and I was just so upset. I could not believe it. Yeah. And so, I remember after we looked at that, we went out to dinner with a friend. It was Elder and his wife. And I brought it up. I said, can you believe this is happening? And his wife looked at me and she goes, oh, no, not in Jehovah's organization. And this was the eye-opener. Her husband, who was an elder, said, he looked at his wife and he said, no, babe, it's true. And that's when it just hit me hard. Like, oh my goodness, what else do they know that we don't know?
Yep.
Interesting. Wow. That is interesting. So at that point, both of you continued to discuss the information that you discovered on the internet?
Well, not right away. He still was very cautious. He was, I would say, you did this on your own for a while before I really it clicked. Yeah.
Okay.
I went, because when we this is back in Moultrie, in Georgia, Moultrie, Georgia, excuse me. But I went to the Pioneer School, and I was woke.
Wait a minute. You went to the Pioneer School?
Yeah, because that was my first time pioneering, and then she got to go again. So, yeah, I just remember.
So you were at Pioneer School knowing all of this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And when we made, some of the edits to the Pioneer book saying that we have identified the faithful slave as the governing body and all that, and I'm just like, yep.
Wow. Interesting. So then, how old were you guys when you guys started waking up?
Ooh, man, what was I? We left 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think I was about maybe 33, 34.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 32. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, okay. So you guys are still real young. You guys are babies. You're waking up as babies.
Well, not kids. They think we're old.
Yeah, thank you.
That's relative. So, now let me ask, so who was very instrumental? What was the turning point for your life on the internet?
Oh, okay. So this is really funny. So Terrence had been looking at some things, but he found you guys for me because he knew how I was. And when I first saw your video, I'm like, oh my goodness, they're so amazing. Like I remember JT's first video about how he woke up. And it just hit me. Like, it was like, this is so simple. It's not that complicated at all.
No.
But I will admit, I did not watch your videos on YouTube because I was super scared that the elders could see me watching it on YouTube. I don't even know how to explain that now. So I would download your videos from an off-site.
Okay.
And I did that for like at least 6 months. That's how I watched Critical Thinker. And the funny thing is, I sent you an email, which I never thought you would respond to because I'm like, they are super busy. There's no way they have time for fan mail.
You're funny.
You're funny.
And you responded, and I was freaking out. I was at the library when I got it, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, they do care.
Hey, somebody help us. Gotta return the favor.
Yeah.
Exactly. So then I showed Terrence it. I
was shocked too.
Yeah, I still have the email. I was just like, oh my goodness. Yep.
And me and Rashana, we've been best friends ever since.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I am so thankful because I know during the process, I probably sound like a crazy person because there were moments where I was like, I just want to be free, or I'm going to tell everybody and get them all out. And you never criticized me and said, girl, you are crazy. You just listened to me. And I really appreciate that because I finally realized it on my own much later that isn't how it works. So,
No.
That's true.
Unfortunately, that's not how it works.
That is so true.
Yep.
So what were some of your experiences like? Okay, so you guys woke up. So remember when we had the conversation when you guys were waking up, Rashana, and you were talking about going to the memorial? You want to tell the experience about that? How you felt?
Oh, yeah. So this I think this would have been the memorial where it was very clear that we were never coming back. And I remember you saying, like, you should go because it would just kind of like calm everything down, which is super true. But I was so enraged with everything and I was so angry and I'm like, they're all crazy and I'm done with this. And so I did not go. I did a lot of stuff. I talked to a lot of people. I remember going up to my dad and I was like, you know what? Elders are not appointed by Holy Spirit. And just the look on his face because he's been an elder forever. So to say that was kind of like a slap in the face. But I'm like, this is all crazy. And I'm like, oh, and by the way, I have your elders book and I've been reading.
Oh, no, you didn't.
That's what I said.
Oh, that is funny.
So I'm like thinking back, I'm like, of all the things I did, and I'm like, I probably would have simmered down a lot and not said or done half the things. But at the end of the day, I'm still out, so I guess that's good too.
Right. And so what did y'all end up doing? Remember when your mother and father came back? They were like in Arizona or something, and so what transpired with your mom and dad about you not going? What happened?
Oh, I know they were really upset. They were devastated. And that was, I think, the icing on the cake for that. That's when they realized that she's not gonna come back. She's not gonna, accept it anymore. So, Yep.
Because remember, the memorial is the meeting that everyone who never goes to the Kingdom Hall, that's the one they go to. So by you missing that meeting, then they knew, hey, look, something ain't right here.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, even disfellowship ones, they go to memorial too. So yeah, if you're not going to the memorial, that's a huge, huge thing.
Exactly.
But it was hard because after I watched that annual meeting, because that's really was the final straw for me. That broke my foundation, was seeing Toni Morris. Like I was holding on still. I was like, just give me something to believe in again, because I'm doubting everything. And so when that annual meeting came up, I'm like, yes, this is going to get my faith back. This is going to help me. And I remember him starting out his talk with saying that he's going to show us from the scriptures. He's going to show us from the Bible what Jehovah wants. And then he started talking about tight pants and colorful socks and how you should go to Bethel and not Disney World. Yep. And I'm sitting there like, I can't find any of this in the Bible. What in the world? And that's when I was done.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what kind of things took place? What kind of things took place as you guys were, deciding not to go to the meetings and stuff? What was happening with some of your friends at the Kingdom Hall?
We had some really good friends, and especially Rashana. She was very close to a particular friend, and man, she sent you that email and literally cut us off. And I mean, they just like cut us all off. Then I had to go and talk to my elder friend who I thought I could always express myself to, because we heard, right? You still have that, like, they're still trying to help. So what happened was, what was it? I think your parents or someone told another elder in a different Kingdom Hall that we were bad association.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we weren't even disfellowship yet.
Doesn't matter.
It was like, right. So we're like, okay, we're going to go and talk to the elder in our hall, who we're comfortable with. So he was like, he listened. We didn't tell him what we knew. We were just like, hey, we're not attending meetings. That's all we're doing. I started college. So I'm in college now. So there's another reason why I can't attend meetings. And I'm like, we're not doing anything out here to qualify us as being bad association. So he was like, I don't think he ever talked to him. I'm not sure, but he was like, I'll talk to him because he shouldn't be saying nothing like that. And we also learned he was going up to other people who we didn't even know, because more people had joined the Kingdom Hall, but he was going up to people who we didn't even know, also saying that we were bad association.
It's juicy, man.
We know these people.
It's juicy. Juicy gossip, man. Juicy.
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, and my friends too, like, I thought that I could be honest and even be helpful. I had other articles that I was showing, but instead, there's something that I like, JT, that you brought out in your one of your videos, and you were saying how that we've been trained for this.
Yes.
For years.
All your life.
That was
all your life.
I think that's what helped me realize that I can't do anything, because they're trained. We're trained. When we hear someone talk against the organization or the anointed or the elders, we're trained right away to just cut that
down.
off.
Shut down.
So, I just didn't I guess I forgot, because now that I'm woke, I'm like, oh my God, I need to get everybody like this. And that's not how it works. Because this is years and years of training. I know an apostate, actually, when I was younger, that left. And I just remember believing that something was terribly wrong with her. And I don't have any strong foundation for that, but what I was told.
Yep, that's all.
And so, to know that that's what we put in our head right away, and we just automatically cut off. I guess I should have assumed this is what the end result was going to be, but it still hurts nonetheless. Yeah,
that's what happened to Lady C with the girl who was in our wedding. She tried to reach out to her, and after 20 years of knowing each other and being friends, chit-chatting all the time, going out to dinner and stuff, I mean, it's like a light bulb. The switch just goes off. Boom, done. I don't know you. Leave me alone. Get away from me. And that's the way they train. It's just a training. That is the reason why Jehovah's Witnesses fit the bill of a high control group, because the training is so good. You would think, under most circumstances, you would think, for example, a person's disfellowship. You would think that when the people get home from the Kingdom Hall, their best friends would call them up and like, man, what happened? Man, we met you off tonight. But we don't. But we don't. And the reason we don't is because the Watchtower has already told us why that person was disfellowship. They're unrepentant. They are wicked. They have a bad heart, and so we're given all the reasons why. So there's no need to call. Why am I going to call you up? I already know why you disfellowship. So so people never get a chance to hear how the elders' meeting was handled, the questions that were asked, and so people have no idea. No Jehovah's Witness knows what goes on in a judicial meeting unless they're there. And so the society makes sure that people don't know, they don't discuss it. So you never know. And like you said, you reach out to people you've known for years, and with the switch, it's like a light switch. They just shut down.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you all have 3 children, right?
Yes.
You know what? Now, how did your mom and dad, being Jehovah's Witnesses and all you were raised in, how did they feel about you having kids?
You know what? I think the first time I had, because when me and Terrence got married, we were young, and I was 18. So my first, Tehran was my first, and people were like excited, but when it was like my second, not so much. I don't know why. People just like didn't have not everyone had a positive feel about it. I guess because we're so close to the end.
Woe to the pregnant woman. The reason why is because of woe to the pregnant woman.
Yes.
Okay.
Like you can maybe save one, but you might not be able to save 2, I guess. Right. So,
okay.
But
Well, what about because you guys, the reason why I'm bringing up the kids right now is because I want to talk about the blood issue. You guys had that situation going on as well.
Oh yes, yeah. So our youngest was born early. She was a pound when she was born. 1 pound, 12 ounces.
Okay.
And because of that, we learned that she wouldn't be able to produce her own blood, because she hadn't gotten to that point. And she needed to get platelets.
Okay.
And I just remember the liaison being called, and because, everyone knew we were in the hospital. So all the elders knew. And I just remember the fear that I had. And so when the doctor came in, the elders were in the room with us. And I basically, me and Terrence, we stood our ground. But I'm thankful for the doctor that we had because he did it anyway. And then we end up getting a court order because they wanted to take custody away from us. So we had to go to court. And
and that was interesting too because, I guess because the elders, my local elders, was like, look up information since you're going to court. But the liaison, they were like, they got in touch with Bethel's lawyer, and he was like, this is what you say. Just say, don't take away our parental rights. So I remember thinking, but I got information about the blood and, the stuff I was trained to say, this is my belief, my value. He goes, no, don't mention nothing like that. Just say, don't take away our parental rights. He said, that's all you say. So that was shocking to me.
Yeah, because they didn't want us to mention resurrection. We couldn't mention that word. Or any of our beliefs because they said that they wouldn't understand. Which I guess should have been a sign right there, right? That it's crazy to even think that way. But anyway, we ended up going to court, and we did keep custody of her, but they did put in there that if her blood dropped again, they would give her blood again. And so it was just a very stressful time. It was extremely stressful. It was scary. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't want my daughter to die, but it's like in the back of my head, I'm like, but I also don't want Jehovah to be mad at me for letting her have blood. It was just like this constant fight and this fear. And so I'm so thankful to that doctor. And we actually went back to him after we were woke and learned the truth about the truth. We went back to visit him, and I just remember crying so hard and thanking him. And what's so crazy is he remembered us, and he said that he was so scared all these years that we were angry with him for what he did. And I'm like, no, it was just because we didn't understand. The beliefs that we had were so wrong. And what you did for our daughter, you saved her life. And we took pictures with him. He got to see her. It's just, I'm so thankful for that. So like when other family members are going through that, I feel so bad because if we were to lose her and we woke up, I have no idea how I would feel right now.
Mm-hmm. Wow, you're making chills go through my spine right now. Just listening to that, Oh my God, that is such a chilling story. I'm just very happy that you guys, had a very good outcome from that. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that most Jehovah's Witnesses don't know is that when the society is dealing with issues like you guys were dealing with, they often change their tone. As you mentioned, they told you do not discuss the biblical reason why you are not accepting blood. Don't make that argument. Like you said, all your life, that's all you've been told to argue. Well, the Bible says in Acts, don't take the blood. But the society realizes that don't fly in court. So they try to use the law. Well, parental rights. When, that really don't mean much to them anyway. And that's and there are other things that the society will do in court that they do not do when they're teaching Jehovah's Witnesses certain things. And we're going to do a couple of videos about that. How that Jehovah's Witnesses have two sides, and that's a side that nobody knows about. Unless you are personally impacted, you have no idea that the brothers will tell you, don't use God's word, the Bible. And you're thinking, well, the Apostle Paul said that we're spectacles. We're supposed to be defending the truth. Well, you find out, they're like, don't use that stuff in the magazine. Don't be quoting no bound volumes now. Don't do that. And so that's what makes it so sad. Your situation is very sad. We have I'm going to tell you, we've talked to people who they were not as fortunate as you guys were. But not only were they not as fortunate, they then turned around and got the double whammy. And what that is, they lost their loved one in death because of refusing blood. Only for a year or two later, the society to come back and say, you can take that stuff now. And so it's like, you mean I was fighting the judge and the doctors and the nurses and administrators, and now I could have given my son that? Yeah, but don't worry about it. We still friends. Like, everything's good. And so and so they play it off just like that. And they just impacted somebody's life. So it is amazing when you start digging into the organization and how they will give people instructions. They have absolutely nothing to do with the Bible. Absolutely nothing to do with the Bible.
Yep. And that was an eye-opener for us.
I'm sure it was.
Yep.
So what are you guys doing now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I am in college.
Good.
Yes, I love it. I'm sure you've heard enough of me talk about how much I love psychology.
Yes. So did we. That was our first class.
Yes, I think every person who leaves a cult or especially becomes an extra witness should take psychology.
Absolutely.
Because I had no idea the methods they use. I mean, they know what they're doing.
Yes.
They know what they're doing.
Yes.
And, to conform people, to make them... It just blew my mind. There'd be times in class where I would just be shaking my head and shaking, and the teacher would look at me, and I'm just like, this is unbelievable.
It is.
Like, I lived this life. I did not think for myself. I let someone else tell me how my behavior should. I mean, it was unbelievable. So but I'm not going to school for psychology. I'm actually going to school to be a music teacher because I love music. Good. And that's something that's always been a passion for me. So I'm Good. So happy because that's something I've always wanted to do. So here's Terrence. Also I'm in college as well. I am going for psychology, and I'll get my associates this December.
Excellent.
Congratulations.
Mm-hmm. And my plan is to continue to go so I could go into medical school.
That's good.
And get my my MD, so that I could be trained as a psychiatrist.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, great. Excellent. Yeah. But look, Terrence and Rashana, when I spoke to Rashana and she told me about, how you guys were living, you want to talk about how you took advantage of the Watchtower schedule to get your degrees?
Yeah. To go to college? Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, this is strange, but us regular pioneering actually did help for the life that we have now, because me and him, both regular pioneering plus having 3 kids, we started our own cleaning business. Mm-hmm. And so that's how we lived. I mean, like I told you, the only time I contacted you was when I went to the library because we didn't have internet, we didn't have cable. I mean, we lived really, really simple. And so when we stopped all of that and decided to go to school, we're like, we can actually go to school, go to college, get an education, mm-hmm. become something, for our future, and even help our own children. And we can do that on this schedule instead of being, it was just amazing. So we still live simply. We still have our cleaning jobs, but we are able to be full-time students, and to take care of our kids. And, we may not have everything now, but I am looking very much forward to the future when we will be able to enjoy what we worked for.
Yes. Me too. Mm-hmm.
I really love that when you told me about how you guys were able to transition from your Watchtower life over to what you just said. I thought that was awesome. And I just feel like, you were pioneering with no end in sight. And like Terrence said, he's graduating with his associates in December, and he's looking to be an MD, and that won't take all of your life. So I think that's just an awesome experience.
Yeah, and it's affected our kids too. I mean, I just love that our oldest and our middle child, they're like, so when we go to college or mm-hmm. when we get to college, it's like, it's just changed. It's like they look at, that's the thing I hate about looking back too, is that I didn't take education that seriously because I was just going to be a regular pioneer. Who really needs it, you know?
And our kids they weren't not doing that good in school. I mean, they just wasn't. But after we took our education seriously, our oldest, he came home with a 3.5 GPA. So I'm like, it's amazing. But
mm-hmm. It's just changed completely because now they look forward to something, and it's important to have it. It really is. I mean, I know some people get through on whatever, but it really is important.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Now, how are you guys dealing with the shunning? How are you and your family dealing with the shunning?
It was devastating.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They cut you off your knees.
It's like your whole life. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, they cut you off your knees, man.
Yeah, they do. Yep.
They do. And then, you had a full plate, pioneering, waking up in service, with your friends. You had meetings with your friends.
Yes.
And when you went out, you went out with your friends. So, now what the meetings are going, you have this, more time on your hands, but now your friends are gone. And it's like, wow, it's such an impact. And Rashana, of course, hurt the most because, when her parents was, shunning us, it's like, it's just, you hear about it,
mm-hmm.
people talk about it, but once it hits you, it's like, wow, this is hurtful.
This is serious.
Yeah.
This is serious.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
I would see people, I mean, because we still live in the same area. So, and of course our area is not that big. So we do run across each other. And I just remember the first experience of it. I was at the store, and it's a young girl that I have known since she was, I think I've known her since she was born. Of course I have. And to see her walk past me as if she didn't know me, that moment hit me. That was the first moment. And I'm like, wow, that really, it really hurt. And of course, like Terrence brought out with my parents, sometimes it hurts more because for my kids, because our daughter looks just like my mom, just like her. And last week we were with some friends, and they were talking about their grandparents, and they go to their grandparents' house. And my daughter said, I don't know where my grandma lives. And it just that moment, and then my middle son was extremely close to my mom. He stayed the night over there. And when all of this happened, it hurt him so bad. He would just say, can we just go to the Kingdom Hall? Can we just go one time? Just one time. That way they'll talk to us. And we would just have to explain to him, like, we can't do that because it's not the truth, Mm-hmm. And so just like going through all of that, for us it was hard, but it also really affected them.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
That's terrible. So, your parents are not the kind of grandparents that believe in talking to the kids because they realize the kids have nothing to do with your decision?
No, they have not tried to contact them at all. Matter of fact, when we had our last final conversation, she just said that, I love you, I love the kids, but Jehovah comes first.
Yeah.
And so that was the last conversation that we had. And, a lot of people say, oh, it's tough love, or, they just do it because they want you to come back. And it's just like, no. How do I explain that to an 8-year-old? That your grandparents are just giving you tough love, Oh, your grandparents are just showing you tough love. That makes no sense at all.
Right. What about Terrence's family? How did they respond?
Yeah. When I was telling them everything, they just told me that, they're glad to have me back. And they was like, because I remember I used to try to witness to them, and of course I could never bring them over. So I was like, how did you guys feel? And they goes, well, you were just happy. Like, we were like, it will not work for us, but you were just so happy that you found something. So yeah, they were very supportive of me and, and Rashana and the kids, So yeah, they were very happy to have us, to have all of us back and be able to talk to us. And because as a witness, I rarely gave them any time since they were, the worldly family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and my aunt too. My aunt has been inactive for years, so I really never had a relationship with her. And last year, we all went to go stay with her because she takes care of my grandma, which she does an amazing job with that. But we had it was the best trip, and that was in Ohio. Mm-hmm. So if we are having the best time of our lives in Ohio, but it was wonderful, and just having that connection with her and getting to know her, it was. I'm so sad that I missed all those years, but she never held it against me or anything. It was just like we picked off where we left off. So
that's good.
It was great.
Oh, you know what, Rashana? We had a conversation, you and I, and you told this really compelling story that I want you to share with the audience, and I want you to tell them about your uncle that has been disfellowshipped for years.
Oh, yes. So one thing I've learned is that even though you've left doesn't mean that you're awoke. It doesn't mean that you know that it's not the truth. Mm-hmm. But I ran across him because I hadn't seen him since my grandpa passed away. And my uncle was disfellowshipped during that time, so no one spoke to him. Matter of fact, he even came to the reception after the funeral, and people left. Witnesses left because he was there. So it was just very hurtful because his father had just passed, and for no one to be sympathetic. So I hadn't seen him in a while. Well, anyway, we ran across him, and it was so great. It was so wonderful. I mean, we talked for maybe 2 or 3 hours, and just to tell him what was going on, because he actually said to us, he was like, I've been trying to come back, I just feel bad. And so when we shared with him all the things that we had, we learned, it was like you saw this huge relief come over him. Like he could not believe it. And we connected last month. Him and his wife and my aunt was here visiting. So we all got to spend some time together. And it was shocking because I thought when you leave, you just get it. But that's not true. And my uncle's been living like this for over 10, 15 years, that he's been out of the truth, but didn't know the truth, and still having these regrets and being scared and worried that, when the end comes, he's not going to make it. And he had no idea how free he really was.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. And that's why JT and I would tell people to, reach back to people that in your family, because you just never know what they know or not,
This is probably the reason we had you guys on is because this is probably the crux of our entire channel. We want people who are current Jehovah's Witnesses, people who leave the Jehovah's Witnesses, to know that there is life outside of Watchtower. If you turn on many of the channels, you'll see people who are very, very bitter. They're very, very angry. And I can understand that. And the reason why is because we're all consumers. We're consumers of products, services, and ideas. And nobody likes to get gypped. I don't care what kind of consumer you are, you don't want to get gypped. You get a car, you buy a product, you buy a service, you got somebody come paint your house, they paint the wrong color, you come home, your whole house painted red. Nobody likes getting gypped. Well, that's what happened to us. We were sold an idea, and we got gypped. Mm-hmm. And when you see people on the internet, they are now coming to the realization, man, I wasted 30 years hawking these books. That's hard. That's hard to swallow. That's hard to swallow. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that we decided we would do is that we would try to put together a channel that would let people know you can take the lemons that the Watchtower gave you and I, and you can turn it into lemonade. Mm-hmm. And that's why we wanted to have you guys here. We wanted people to see that when you leave the Watchtower, when you leave the organization, it's important that you keep right on moving.
Yes. Yes.
You keep right on moving. And my mom always told us, one of the things you need to do is you need to start building a new clientele of friends. That's one of the reasons why when people start studying with Jehovah's Witnesses, the first thing they tell you got to let your friends go. You got to let your friends go, got to cut your family short, so we'll be your only friend. And of course, if you decide to leave them, you ain't got nobody. And that's where a lot of people find themselves. They're like, man, it's lonely out there. I mean, it's lonely out there. Mm-hmm. Well, we tell people, before you tell people that you are questioning the organization, you need to start building you a new clientele of friends. Because the moment your current friends find out that you are questioning the organization, they're going to cut you at the knees. You need to understand that. I mean, we have talked to people all around the world, and we have seen this common denominator. I think I can tell so-and-so because I've known them for years. And man, when they go tell them, they're the ones who come down the hardest on them. Yeah. I mean, it's like a ton of bricks.
It's so sad.
And they're not prepared for it. We did a video on that, whether you should fade or just, but people are not prepared. Like you said, you are just, I mean, I've seen this. I mean, it's sad, man. I mean, people just cannot grasp what it is like to have someone speak to you and then 2 minutes later will not even acknowledge your existence. That is beyond comprehension. And when you tell worldly people, or quote unquote, people on your job and stuff, they're like, nah, I know Mr. Johnson, he's a Jehovah's Witness, he's a good man. You mean if you walked there and talked to him, you wouldn't? That's exactly right. He wouldn't talk back to. And so the witnesses have this wonderful outside persona that people don't know about. And when you let people who are not witnesses know, like, man, y'all guys were in something like that. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the reasons why we wanted to have you guys up there on this channel with us, because we want people to see, hey, look, there are people that look just like you and I who went through the same thing, and they're able to find a measure of happiness and peace of mind and live on and move on. Mm-hmm. Because that's the biggest, I think that's probably the biggest thing that former witnesses face. How do you overcome the anger? I'm just so angry they did me wrong. Yeah. And but you have to overcome that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I tell people, go take a psychology class, because then you begin to understand Brother Jones the elder. I know elders back home, man, just good men. I mean, just good men don't know jack about the organization. I mean, just don't know jack. Yeah. And so they just keep repeating they just keep repeating what they've been told. And you talk to them, you feel so sorry for them. Like, oh my goodness, man, if you only knew. You'd be so ticked off right now that you quit your job. Exactly. And then you ain't got no retirement because some guys in New York said so. And they're living up in a wonderful retirement home up in Warwick, you know. Right. So
true. Yeah. So look, Rashana, what would you guys do differently now that you've left in terms of talking about what you know about TTATT?
You might want to explain what TTATT.
Oh, TTATT, the truth about the truth. JT said I might want to explain that. For those of you who are listening, they're going to explain the truth about the truth. What would they tell someone about their knowledge of it? What would they do differently?
Yeah. I probably wouldn't have broadcasted it so much. I mean, I probably wouldn't have been trying to like shake people and like, hey, get out of here, or quote that. I mean, I would have just I should have done what Terrence did to me.
Yes.
Which is just mention some things and then let it be.
Yes.
So I think that would have helped. Another thing I was going to add to this is I did go, and Terrence thought it was a good idea too. I did go see a therapist because, like you mentioned, when that does happen, it was very painful for me. And I went from being in pain to being extremely angry. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that helped me too, because she helped me acknowledge our future and how that so many people wish they could go to school or do these things, and so that really helped me get back into focus. So that's one of the things I do appreciate that Terrence encouraged and that I did do. But again, like I said, I wouldn't have came as harsh as I did. It's kind of like reverse. It's kind of like, when someone comes in and becomes a Jehovah's Witness, they go berserk on their family members. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh my God, did you know God's name is Jehovah? Did you know that 144,000? I mean, they go insane, and it like their family members are like, okay, you're wacko, and I'm going to remove myself from you.
Yes.
And so it's the reverse. It's like I woke up and I'm like, oh my God, did you know about the UN? Did you know about, and so it was too much.
Yes.
It was like, what are you saying? So I wouldn't have done it that way at all. So
I told this one lady who emailed me and asked me about what to do, and I kind of gave her the example of how would you feel if someone just sprung it on you out of the blue, and this person was getting ready to go to serve her, the need was great, and so she wanted to tell that person that she woke up, and I said, now she's got all these Watchtower dreams and goals, and you come after you've been reading on the internet for 6 months, looking at videos, having a chance to digest what you learn, you want to come and spring all this on her in 15 minutes and expect her to say, okay, I'm going with you. And she still couldn't get it. Yeah. She still was like saying, I'm going to still tell her all about this. But I just felt like it was just too much, because I thought it was not fair to do that to somebody. You've been educating yourself and getting all this information, all these little bits and pieces and crumbs of information, and then you want to give somebody that information in 15 minutes and not think they're going to go berserk on you. So that was one of the things that I found.
Right. Yeah.
It was just terrible. So did we catch everything? I know there's a lot of stuff that we talked about. Rashana, and I mean, just talking to her over the. I think I've been knowing you for like about a year now. We've been chit chatting.
Yeah,
back and forth. And you guys, to me, are the model couple in terms of just all the things that we've discussed throughout the last year, and how you were able to lead the organization and really get yourself back on track. And I think, like I told Rashana, I said you had an advantage over JT and I because you guys had kids. And I remember growing up, as a kid myself, and a lot of my parents, their friends, they became friends with other people in the community because of me and my sister. Because kids bring parents together. And we have a neighbor across the street from us, and they're best friends with this couple because their kids went to baseball together. And they're still friends today. And so I feel like when you have children, your children connect you to other people in the community. So for those of you who are listening, if you got kids, get them out there to those baseball games and stuff, and you will meet other people. Go to PTA, go to extracurricular activities, right? There's your end to, meeting more people and stuff, aside from just going to Toastmasters, like I tell people who don't have that connection with children, So those are just some of the things that I wanted to bring out, with you guys. So, yeah. Yeah,
and also, too, going to school. I'm going to college. That's how I met one of my good friends. Yeah. We were in class together. We actually had 2 classes together. And she helped me. I had some math is not my strongest suit. So so she assisted me in that. And now, I mean, we talk practically every day. I mean, college really helped because we're all, focused on our future and a career. And so when you're with like-minded people, you have these conversations. And what's so amazing is they're so open, to certain ways of thinking that we were so closed on. Mm-hmm. Because I'm learning, how much we judge. Oh, my goodness.
All the time.
Judge so much. I mean, everything we judge. And so it's just cool to, be around people that are like, why should I worry about that? That's none of my business. It's just you start to realize you live your own life. You take care of your own self. You don't need to worry about what that person is wearing or who said what. You just do your own, you take care of your own self.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for college, for me, it was after sitting 2 hours or, 5 hours at a meeting or a special meeting, it's I could sit down and do that easy at college. I could take notes. I could follow the teacher and, come up with questions because, we were so used to coming at the meeting. Yep. So when it opens up, that's one of the payoffs of it was okay, now I could give my final reports at the end of terms and, I can interact with the professor and the kids. So, it's been a help.
Lemons, man, lemons. I keep telling you. No, I'm very serious. I'm very serious. Let me just give you a minute. Lacey gonna tell me to shut up in a minute. but let me just say this. Let me just say this, man. Just to make a point. When we went to college, and most colleges offer this. It's called life learning, where you can take your life experience and convert it to college credits. We were able to convert basically our experience. We literally wrote our life learning experience on being one of Jehovah's Witnesses. We took classes that targeted public speaking, organizational structure, circuit overseer, elders, ministerial service, district overseer, branch overseer. We took organizational structure, organizational cultures, and we wrote about it as part of our classes, as you can take those same classes in college. Mm-hmm. And we targeted, and we got 66 credits.
Wow.
She got 33.
We didn't get 66 each. We got 33 apiece. 33 apiece.
So
That's incredible.
Yeah. So what that does, when you get 33 credits in one semester.
And that's because we knew how to write it up. We could write it up, and the Watchtower taught us how to speak, and we wrote the rest, right?
So that's why I tell you, man, take your lemons and turn them into lemonade.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, there's so much out here in the world that you can get into, and I got so many projects right now that it's going to take me 5 or 6 lifetimes to get through all this. But I'm enjoying life now. I really am. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Critical thinkers is one of them.
Yeah, I told Terrence, I'm like, this is the first time I feel like as a couple we're grown. Because we're grown people.
Yeah, no.
In the organization, they control your clothing, what you watch, even sometimes what you're eating. I mean, just everything is controlled, and you really can't just be your own person.
Can't breathe.
I remember when I was in Pioneer School, and one of the brothers, he asked our circuit overseer, what's the rule on hats during construction, keeping them on during prayer. He said, should they be kept on or off? And the circuit overseer, I remember he looked down at me and he was like, like what? And he goes, well, during the prayer, a brother had kept his hard hat on, and he was like, I don't know whether I should say something to him or not.
Wow.
And then the circuit overseer, he was just like, well, I get, we're supposed to remove our helmets. And then he goes, that's what I thought. He goes, I just wanted to make sure. And I remember looking at Rashawn and go, you see, that's where most of our rules come from. Yeah. Because somebody wants to be empowered over somebody else.
Hey, man.
That is crazy.
I'm telling you.
So my thing is, now you're on a construction site, you're praying, but aren't there still debris that could be hanging around while you're taking your hat off?
Right.
But Jehovah's going to protect you.
That's crazy. And that's the reason why I'm so glad that I'm no longer part of this group of people. It's just too much.
Yep.
It's way too much. That is amazing.
Keep your eye on the Watchtower. Question from readers is coming out real soon. Should Christians should Christians use one ply or two? It's coming.
Oh, stop! Should I use one ply or two?
It's coming. It is coming. Toilet paper. It's coming. You know it's coming. It's just a matter of time. It's coming. Just keep your eye on the Watchtower. Watch it. Question from reading. Just keep your eye. I'm telling you.
It's probably out there. You just probably didn't get to it. You probably didn't even know it was there. It's out there. It's out there. That is so funny.
Oh, man.
So you guys have any closing comments to say about your life, or any recommendations you would give to anybody that's leaving or just waking up?
For those waking up, I would recommend, Critical Thinkers. I would recommend your site because I remember, especially last year, both of us was deciding whether we should write our letters and be done with it, because especially after the whole bad association thing and all of that was just, and I'm like, you know what, let's just be done with it. But then when we saw your videos, and I remember thinking, yeah, why do we have to write a letter? Let them work for it. So I do, because it's not combative. It's so informative. And another one is why there was a deficit at a circuit at the assemblies. Because I remember always asking Rashana that. I'm like, he just read something about we had a surplus and we sent the surplus off to the society. And now
we got a deficit.
Today's, and then there's a deficit again. And I'm like, we can't win. So I really like the information coming from the videos. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, and we look forward to y'all getting y'all channel out there, educating the masses. Help us out. We need some help out here. Right. We need some more channels to go along with the ones we got.
I just want to tell you, thank you, Kathy, for hanging in there with me. Mm-hmm. Thank you for answering my phone calls.
Right. Oh, you're welcome.
For my questions, for even when I didn't sound like I was sane, you still listened to me through it. You know, and just like, I think that's what everyone needs, just someone to be able to get through this with that's been through it.
It's important.
It's so scary when it first happens. When you first realize that everything you knew is not true. Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. It is so painful. And then to go through the shunning, all of that. It's just such a painful experience, but it's so much brighter on the other side. It's so wonderful. It's like people, the world or worldly people, all those things. It's not what they say.
No, it's not. It's really not. It's not. It's just not.
It's not. And just to feel like some freedom is just so amazing. I mean, we even teach our kids that. We're like, you question, and never be at a point where you just need something to come in and fix it. Because that's how witnesses get you.
Yep.
You're at a point where you need something and they fill that void. Don't be that way. Figure it out. Read, research. Because you don't want to get stuck in something like that. You know?
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right, Rashana. And you know what I feel like? People that come out and they'll email us questions. We woke up. We're helping people to wake up. But we still don't have all the answers. You know, so you're not going to, just because Critical Thinkers came out and put a channel out, doesn't mean that we now have all the answers that the Watchtower used to supply you, because we're all still learning. We're all still trying to find out where we are in this world. So, I mean, you have to look at it like that, because when you start to follow people, that's when you get into trouble. And that's one of the things that I've been noticing that people are doing on the internet, is because I'm not your genie out of the bottle. Just because you came to my channel and you found information on my site doesn't mean that you owe me your life or you owe me some allegiance that now I'm supposed to be the be all and the end all, and now everything I say, you listen to everything I say. That's not what this is.
Absolutely not.
You know, we're trying to help people.
You see, that's why we say what we say on our channel. I prefer to have questions I cannot answer than answers I cannot question.
Right.
We want people to think for themselves.
Right.
That's what got us in this mess to start with.
Right.
We weren't thinking for ourselves.
That's right.
We let somebody else think for us. They convinced us they were talking for God, and they weren't. Mm-hmm. And that was what, and that's what really got us, man. I mean, every witness think that when they get a Watchtower, that this is from God. That's why they call it food from God. God ain't never signed no bad food that got dated on it. Well, you got to, it's like going to you got milk, they got a date standpoint. God has never sent nothing out like that.
Right. That's right. That's
so people, and that is a very important point. When you leave the organization, you don't want to just turn around and redo it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Very important.
Even my teachers, I question them. I'm like, where did you get that research from? How did you find? I mean, you have to. You have to, because then you'll just fall for anything.
That's right.
Stand for nothing, fall for anything.
I will tell you one thing. The year I met JT, I was doing some research because I felt like I wanted to be a little bit more spiritual. So I called myself going back, getting some of the Society's old publications. And I remember reading this one publication. I can't remember the name of it, but it was talking about millions now living would never die. And I started to think, and I said, wait a minute, these people died years ago. And then I almost got out of the box, right? But the reason why I didn't make it out the box is because I said to myself, I can't be smarter than the Society. Then I met JT. And it was like I was meeting new friends. I was meeting new girlfriends that were in my territory, that had moved to our territory. And I started, meeting more Jehovah's Witness. What do you call it? When you they were giving me enforcement. Yeah, I would call it Jehovah's Witness reinforcement. Yeah. And that's how I ended up shutting off that supply of information that I almost got out of that box. But then, years later, then I found out, hey, this is not the truth. But I don't know how I would have handled it at that young age, because I was too young to handle that information at the time. So I might have been a casualty. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we don't. You don't want to leave the organization and become a poster child that they can use you as an example. Right. See what happened when you leave? Look at what happened. They're selling drugs and crack now. I tell people all the time, the best response is how you live your life. Mm-hmm. When people see us after leaving the organization, they look like they're happy. Why are they smiling? I'm the Jehovah's Witness. I'm supposed to be the happiest person on earth, and they're smiling.
Right?
Yep. That's the thing we say all the time too. We're like, we show that this did not knock us down.
No, absolutely not.
Right, that's true.
Shucks, absolutely not.
We keeping on, y'all.
That's it.
Get on up the road.
We thank y'all guys so much.
We enjoyed this conversation. This is probably the best interview we've done yet. But we're just keeping it real. We're just trying to keep it real on this program because we realize that everybody's at some point in their life trying to get themselves together.
Interview. This feels like we normally talk.
Right. Yeah, I know.
But you know what? I'm gonna tell you something though. If most witnesses could see a conversation like this, they can see that we're not bull jiving. We're really not apostates the way they think we are. I mean, you don't see no smoke coming out my nose.
No foaming at the mouth.
Right.
No foaming at the mouth.
Right. We're just keeping it real. That's it. So for all of you lurkers out there, right, I hope y'all see we're just keeping it real.
Y'all guys take care. Take care of the kids.
We appreciate you guys being on the program, and for those of you, who want to tell your story, reach out, exjwct@gmail.com.
Give us a shout.
This has been Lady C.
JT.
Thank you for tuning in to The Critical Thought.
This program was sponsored by Critical Thinkers.